Hello, good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, depending where you are in the world. My name is Dan Saunders. I'm the head of performance marketing at Ingenuity Digital. Welcome to the show. This is sponsored by SEMrush, the seller lead tool that they have for Amazon. And today we're going to be talking about holidays on Amazon, how to get ready for the rush and post-rush as well. We have got some fantastic people on this panel today. I'm not just saying that because we've just spent the last half an hour getting to know each other. They are some of the big minds, and if I'd had this webinar my own way, these are the people that I would have invited on about this topic as well, because there's so much information here that we are really going to struggle to get this in for an hour. So I'm going to be your host. I'm going to talk very little about me. I'm going to let these wonderful people introduce themselves. Just to remind everybody, because you've signed on for this webinar, you have been automatically given 60 days full access to the Cellularly tool, which we will talk about in a little bit more detail. But everyone that's registered for this, that's as a Cellularly account, if you leave your email address that's associated with this account on the request form that we're going to be posting out shortly, we can then make sure that you've got everything granted and access for you as well. So admin aside, I'm going to let these people introduce themselves. So Speaker Will, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Excellent. Yeah, so I'm Will Hare. I'm the CEO and founder of Bellavix, and Bellavix is an Amazon marketing agency, and we specialize in helping brands grow their presence on the world's largest marketplace.
Fantastic. Destiny, if you'd like to go next.
Yeah, of course. So my name is Destiny Rochon. I am co-founder and CEO of Better AMS. We specialize in scaling Amazon advertising initiatives for typically like 7 to 8 to 9 figure sellers. And we do everything, sponsor products to DSP on the Amazon platform.
And last but by no means least, Robin.
My name is Robin Johnson. I'm the CEO of Marketplace Blueprint, and we're an agency that specializes in working specifically with manufacturers and brand owners, usually between the $1 and $10 million range, kind of like Destiny.
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you all for being here today. And as I said before, my name's Dan. I head up the performance marketing team at Ingenuity Digital. We are a full service digital marketing agency, and that's the last I'm going to talk about that. Let me know where you all are in the world. I said good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending where you are. Give me a shout out to where you are, and we will give you a shout out for whoever's the furthest away. Any questions you've got, put into the comments. We will gladly get through to those today. Keep them going as we're going out throughout, and I'll ask all the questions towards the end as well. So on that note as well, Will, would you like to take us into your presentation?
Yeah, let's do this, guys. So I'm just going to share my screen right now. Hopefully no technical issues. And can everybody see my screen? Excellent. We are in business. So I just have a brief presentation to share, prepared, and everybody feel free to comment as we go through this. But talking about holidays on Amazon and how to get ready to sell more. This is an exciting time and time to make some money on the world's largest marketplace. So the first thing I want to talk about is the current state of retail. As you guys know, it has been complete chaos since March 2020. And some of the really interesting things is that we've seen just a tremendous shift of consumer behavior for more people adopting online shopping habits because of the restrictions placed on by the state. So as you're running your businesses as sellers, there's the new normal, and what are the expectations for the new normal, and what can you do as a business to kind of stand out? And so we just wanted to call out just a couple things that we would recommend, and this is more like your brand in general, on Amazon, of course, but also off of Amazon. But if you're going to continue to grow and actually have this type of impression, here are some of the things that we consider really important. And one would be to create more personalized offers, pricing, and promotions. Invest in upper funnel advertising strategies to capture increased traffic. I have a slide on here a little later, and I know Destiny and Robin can back it with the advertising, but a lot more product discovery is happening on about 66%. Was I think the last stat I got at it. So a lot of people are going to Amazon, and now that we're not going in the stores and product discovery is happening more online, it's important that you're considering these upper funnel advertising strategies to get your product and your brand in front of these shoppers as they're in their consideration phase. The next piece is expand your catalog assortment and ramp up inventory supplies to meet the increased consumer demand. So a lot of you manufacturers out there who have substantially large catalogs, obviously this isn't something that happens overnight, But consider, look at your top selling products and just slowly start trickling them in as you have the bandwidth. It's a huge opportunity, and this isn't going to stop. 2021's is going to be a lot of the same, and who knows what this means for just consumer shopping behavior moving forward for the rest of my life at least. And reduce counterfeit to preserve consumer confidence. So this is huge. Anybody who sells on marketplaces knows that eroding consumer confidence by counterfeit products is a big issue, and especially anybody who's ever sold branded items on Amazon. So this is something for you to consider, different ways to kind of bridge that gap and make sure that your legitimate product and brand is represented properly on these different platforms. And last but not least, innovating ways to fill in the missing personal touch gap. So, simple as handwritten notes, and for bigger brands, why this isn't scalable, those unique promotions to get people back in the door, to get them to visit your website, or to showcase other products. There's ways to do this personalization. Technology is certainly there, and these are what we consider some of the 5 most important facets to consider for your holiday shopping, but post-holidays going into 2021, and how you're going to differentiate yourself and your brand. Jumping on to, I love statistics. I got this from Feedvisor, but e-marketplaces moving to center stage. So Amazon's anticipated e-commerce market share in 2020 is 38.7%. As mentioned before, 66% of consumers start their search for new products on Amazon, and 35% projected growth for e-marketplaces during Q4. So the game has changed. There is a lot of movement and a lot of shopping going on the Amazon platform, and marketplaces in general. Walmart, eBay, they're all getting a lot of views. Jumping on to the next section, just really quick, wanted to call out some holiday dates. So as you guys are prepping and figuring out inventory management, and we know, Lord knows that Amazon has made it even more difficult to get products in there by limiting the amount of products you can keep in stock, and also the quantities that you could ship in for them to process. So for some dates for you guys, keep in mind, November 5th just passed, but it's a little late, but Black Friday, Cyber Monday shipments should be at fulfillment centers. If they haven't gotten in yet, you may have missed that window. I recommend sending it out as soon as possible. November 23rd through the 30th, this is Black Friday, Cyber Monday week, so be prepared to send additional inventory as necessary, and there are longer processing times. December, Amazon will continue running deals throughout December, which will with featured deals exclusive to Amazon. So this is something they started in October, and they're really pushing through emails, through all the different mechanisms that they have to promote their products. So getting involved with lightning deals and additional promotional opportunities are great, and expect this to continue through December. December 2nd, inventory for remaining holidays in Q4 need to be fulfillment center. So don't miss if you miss Black Friday, Cyber Monday, do not miss the end of December. So if you can, don't wait till the last minute. Start sending in that inventory. If you have to send it in weekly, send it in weekly. The worst thing you could do is run out of inventory. December 20th through the 26th, this is the obviously the Christmas period, but this is the first week brands can ship inventory for 2021 to Amazon fulfillment centers. So keep that date in mind as you're running out of inventory. And also keep in mind gift card shoppers in January. So be prepared for that continued sales momentum moving past December. And then December 22nd through January 2nd, if you're a vendor central brand, you should expect an influx in large purchase orders to start being issued for 2021. And just real quick, holiday preparation. I'm going to harp on this. Inventory is huge, but no inventory means no sales, and it has an adverse effect to your BSR. So forecast your inventory projections for November, December, and January, so you're extra prepared. And we've been promoting, consider using a third-party logistics company. It's nothing wrong with doubling up your listings, having an FBA and FBM version. And this is only if it's possible. Obviously, not everybody has those resources, but it's something we're recommending if you do. Be prepared for long lead times and inventory becoming available on Amazon. So don't wait till the last minute. Send your inventory in as early as possible. Expect Amazon to lose units during the replenishment process. They're understaffed and not as organized as they usually are. So track your shipments and open cases during the appropriate time windows so that A, they find your inventory, you can get on the shelves, or B, you get paid and you get sent in more inventory. Don't expect customer support to be very supportive. If you had to file tickets as of lately, you will know. And be prepared for higher storage fees. It's like 3 times higher during Q4, so we're already in there, but expect to pay more. Real quick, just talking about your listings. The holidays are hectic. If you haven't, you should update them, but title should be clear and concise. Keep in mind mobile friendliness, the first 70 characters. Bullets should have key features and benefits, and make sure your description or A+ content is updated to incorporate holiday themes. Don't forget about your backend search terms. Structured data goes a long way, and Amazon is getting more and more integrated with their listing quality checker tool, and all these other features they're incorporating to help with indexation through the search algorithm. And last but not least, maximize image and video usage. And just calling it out too, I just want to say it, if you sell plungers or something that's not very giftable or something you wouldn't want to get as a gift, you don't have to update this for the holidays. As much as I love a plunger with a bow on it, I think the only person I might consider is a mother-in-law or something. And then the new features, if you guys don't know about it, the listing quality checker. So it improves the discoverability, as I mentioned before. It enables the product overview experience. So if you're looking at the towels, you'll see the red box around that color, the material, the fabric type. This is great because it's incorporated in your listing, and you don't have to waste space in your title or your bullets. So it's a new feature, and we love it. It's a free tool. It's on Amazon. Some of our recommendations is to check it at least once a week. Use page views and sales to prioritize your recommendations. So for those of you who have really large catalogs, I wouldn't recommend doing it all at once. Pace yourself and kind of pick the winners from the best. And then they have the not relevant for this product option. Make sure you use that so that you're helping its algorithm get better and kind of learn your products in your category. And then just real quick, I know our guests, we're all going to talk about holiday strategies. Just call it out. Some of the more obvious ones, obviously advertise on the platform, ensure your products are retail ready, updated title, updated bullets, at least 4-star rating, at least 10 reviews. Update your list of targeted keywords. People are window shopping, we're browsing. Go after those broader themes. Consider complementary products and use all the tools that are available. If you're not utilizing all ad types, including video, you should start leveraging them. Monitor campaigns and performance, and boost exposure by maximizing your budgets for November through the end of December. Tips for post-holidays: reduce bids on low-quality keywords, pause poor-performing keywords, and remove ineffective sponsored brand campaigns. Jumping on to programmatic advertising. I love programmatic advertising. If you have the budget for it, you should be doing it. The fact you can retarget a customer who visited your page and didn't make a purchase in the last 30 days is gold. And what's great about Amazon's data, it's based on actual shopping habits, while Google is based on your browser behavior, and Facebook and social media is based on social engagement. So, Amazon has the market corner. This is a great platform, and we recommend it for a lot of brands who feel like maybe they've plateaued on the platform and are looking for different ways to target that upper funnel. We highly recommend getting on DSP, and I'm sure Destiny and Robin are going to jump a little deeper on that topic. And split testing listings. I love Sellerly for this. Not a paid endorsement either. You should split test. It gives you the ability to test languages in order to improve your impression, your conversion rates, your sales. We use the search term report, customer questions, product reviews, and competitor listings to find keyword opportunities. And just sharing a quick case study, we actually ran this a few weeks ago on a galvanized metal tray. And on the left was the original title, and on the right is the updated title. And by expanding the title, adding in use cases and keywords from reviews, we were able to improve all metrics across the board, resulting in strong week-over-week sales. And I will say that this is a small sample size. We kind of run this on a 30 days basis before we determine a winner or loser. But this is just an example of how you can use split testing and the different metrics you should be looking at. And in this particular case with this product, what was unique about it? We noticed that the farmhouse decor was a broad search term that our ads pulled up for, but we weren't getting conversions. Had a lot of impressions, so we incorporated into the listing. Metal caddy organizer was a search term we had really good ACOS on that wasn't properly leveraged in the listing. Kitchen, garden, garage, these are all use cases, and we discovered these by looking at competitor listings, but also customer questions and some of the images that customers actually shared on their reviews that were like, oh, people are using it for their tools or they're hanging it on their workbench. So it's really informative. And then outdoor, rustic, home decor. These are other keywords that are a little more broader, but our product's still qualified for. And as a result, we saw an increase in sales. And this doesn't work every time. I'm, of course, showing you a split test that went really well. Sometimes it goes the other way, but it's more important you learn, you move from it, always be testing. And then Amazon advertising. So I didn't add in this slide. Did one of my other guests put this in here?
I did. I threw this in. Awesome. So there are some very specific things you can do, especially with some of the new rollouts on Amazon advertising in Q4. The biggest thing I want to say is diversify your ad spend. So as Will mentioned, there is like 90 different ad types that we've gotten at least in the last 12 months that, weren't available. So if you're only running one auto campaign and one manual campaign, you have room to scale, especially during the holidays. So one of the top strategies that we see year over year during Prime Day or Black Friday or Cyber Monday is any type of product targeting. So traditionally that was product display ads only available on the AMS platform or sponsored product targeting. We now have those capabilities with sponsored brands and sponsored display product targeting. Why these do so incredible is because everyone's window shopping. As Will mentioned, they're clicking through listings. We see a lot more action on the PDP. So if you're running sponsored brand product targeting, sponsored product targeting, category targeting, all of those really narrow down on the ASINs that you want to hit, and you're going to see incredible results because people are window shopping, especially if you start, looking at only the people that you have a competitive advantage over. And as Will mentioned, we're now seeing this today's deals carousel. During Prime Day, it was directly below the headline search ad, directly above the 4 sponsored product placements, and 2 above the organic placements. So it doesn't matter if you rank number 1 organically, no one's seeing your organic listing until they scroll down the page. So one great way to piggyback off all the traffic if you don't have a deal and you're not showing up in that today's deal carousel is by targeting with sponsored product targeting, sponsored brand product targeting, and sponsored display product targeting. So highly recommend looking at all of that. Another quick things you can split test is driving your sponsored brand ads to a store page versus a landing page. If you create a specific sub page on your store page for your deals, it does incredible to drive your traffic to that deals page during your holiday events. Sponsored brands video, it's been out since last October. We've seen over $1 million driven in sales with CPCs around $1, which is much cheaper, especially for our health and nutrition categories and some of our saturated categories. So get those up, get them scaled. Sponsored display. So I know there's still a little bit of confusion around sponsored display, but it's technically been out since 2017. So product targeting has always been a feature. We have a ton of data. That ad type is going to do amazing because you have direct control over it. Now, as you move up the funnel into views, purchases, and some of the other ad types, you may not have as consistent results, but sponsored display product targeting does incredible. And we now have the ability to select exactly who we're remarketing with sponsored display. So that's within like the last 72 hours, they've opened up that capability. But as Will mentioned, it's a fantastic way to dip your toes into anything DSP. So DSP is incredible. For sometimes it's not fantastic if you're managing it through Amazon because it's a 35K minimum and it's much more focused on CPMs and brand awareness. But if you work with a partner agency, you can typically start with minimums as low as 8K or 10K. And what DSP is incredible for is it takes advantage of all this spend you're already spending on Ad Console through your Amazon advertising and allows you to actually see that customer data and then make informed decisions. So if you're already spending 50K a month on Ad Console, why not go that extra step to actually have the data you can utilize through DSP, which is remarketing every consumer who views your listing or another listing. So those are all kind of the biggest things we see in terms of ad spend diversification. Now, in terms of budgeting and bids, we do not recommend playing around with your bids too much heading into the holidays unless you just want to absolutely dominate top of search for your top keywords. Then you can increase them and use the top of search increase. But in general, the main thing you need to focus on is your budgeting. Increase your budgets across the board for anything that you think is going to do well and you want to do well. So the worst thing you could do is not increase your budget on a well-performing campaign, and then you're going to be out of budget halfway through the day and you're going to lose out on all that additional traffic on the platform. Do expect that the week before is probably going to be poor performance. You're going to see a drop in conversion rate as people are window shopping. They're still going to be clicking on your ads, but they may not purchase. I would not recommend pausing your ads, pausing keywords during this time because Amazon has the data on the advertising learning console that the majority of purchases happen 5 days after a click. So if everyone's window shopping and you stop your ads, they're not going to see your product. So make sure you keep your ads running. Just know that you're probably going to take a loss or a drop in conversion during this time, but it'll make up for it when everyone comes back and purchases during the holidays. So the last 2 big things I have here is we now have the capabilities to promote our deals within the copy of a headline search ad or a sponsored display ad. As you guys know, in the past, that was never an option. You would get rejected anytime you put your percent off, your price, your deals, anything that was a limited promotion, you were not allowed to put in your headline search ad or your sponsored display ad. This has been changed. So you can promote both of those. Amazon recommends that you run them within the time frame of your deal. So if you have a lightning deal, create a specific headline search ad promoting your lightning deal through the time frame of your lightning deal, and then put the deal within your headline to get consumers to click through. Secondary thing, update your custom image beta and your store page creatives for holiday themes. So no, you probably cannot put Merry Christmas in your custom image beta. What you can do is change the coloring of it to be red and green and holiday themed and things like that in order to attract the consumer and for them to really know this is probably a holiday product because it's holiday themed. Same thing with your store page, make adjustments there because you're able to drive traffic through anything sponsored brands to your store page. So if you have a deals page or a holiday theme page, those do incredible, increase your conversion rates and your click-through rates. So those are the biggest things I have. I try to pick all of the broad topics because with Amazon advertising, there's a lot of tactics that need to be specialized and customized to what you guys are doing externally and on platforms. So if you have questions, ask them. But I believe that was the broadest topics for Amazon advertising in Q4. So
perfect. And that is the end of the presentation.
Perfect. Excellent. Thank you very much. Robin, have you got anything you'd like to add on the back of the presentation? Not to put you on the spot.
I know that we were going to, just answer some questions and things like that. I think that when it comes to making sure that you're ready for the holidays, it really is a combination of cash flow, inventory, great listings, and PPC. And there's all links to the chain. And so you need to be watching all of them. It's easy to get focused on the one that you feel like your company does well at, but you really need to be monitoring all of those pieces.
Yeah, it makes no sense to just sort of pick and choose these things. We were talking about this a little bit earlier. You can take one aspect and you'll be doing absolutely fantastic, but that is counterproductive on the actual scheme of things as well. It's that's one of the best bits of advice I can tell you to anybody that's looking to report on Amazon. Think everything. Your budget,
don't think micromanaging. Like your advertising budget, you have to take into consideration your inventory levels too. So yes, we want to maximize that too, but you want to be thinking ahead. Based off of our current projections, will we have enough inventory to make it through? And that should play a role in how you determine how big of a deal, or if you offer a deal, and maybe if you need to accelerate or decel your ad spend.
No, perfect. That's so insightful, guys. I really, really appreciate looking into this in detail. One of the things that I'm quite keen to talk about, and you'll all have a lot more insight on this, is the DPS system. Now, Will and Destiny, you both mentioned this a little bit earlier. Taking into consideration for the UK, I believe it's at least £10,000 a month. Destiny, you mentioned it was 35k US. We've got very few people in the UK that are using it at the moment, as you can imagine, because not to be hurtful to the UK, but one of the things that I've always seen is that we are quite far behind the US in terms of Amazon advertising. As you can see, Robin, Destiny, Will, they are Amazon specific agencies, and we only have a handful of them in the UK. So this sort of gives us an idea in terms of the split. So I'm interested in hearing about your thoughts. Will, you mentioned that there's been quite a big impact with the use of DPS. Do you mind just going into that in a little bit more detail, please?
Yeah, sure. So with regards to, I guess I'll just talk a little bit about like when is the right time and how to measure that impact, if that makes sense. And so, for us, it's obviously going to be larger brands. So to Destiny's point, while as an agency partner, we don't request $35,000 and that we generally set an affordable budget, but you're still looking between that 8 to 10K mark to invest in a platform like this. And something I like to point out, it's media-based, like it's impression-based. So if your return on ad spend isn't great for sponsored product ads, it's not going to be much better for DSP ads. So in terms of like identifying if you're the right brand for this type of thing, it's, or do you feel like you've kind of plateaued on the Amazon platform? And then, are you looking to get that brand awareness? And what's nice about doing it on Amazon is not only the targeting ability, but the fact that there's the halo effect. So that if you push DSP ads, you increase the traffic to the specific listing pages, you notice an improvement in conversion rates, Amazon will reward that. And you'll see better organic placement. You'll rank for more keywords. And overall, you'll see more total sales. So when we do the DSP ad buy, we look at it two ways. So of course, we looked at direct return on ad spend, and we request a minimum of a 90-day period to kind of run through the process and be able to show value. But we're also looking at total sales and total advertising cost of sale, or TACOs. So based on the spend, what type of impact did we have on total sales? And that's, kind of the metrics, or, if it's right as a brand and kind of what we're looking for. And I'll turn it over to Destiny. I'm sure she could add a lot more onto that.
Yeah, I have a few things to add. I'll kind of start with the basics. One big area of confusion I see with all Amazon sellers is the difference in display and the difference in DSP. A lot of this is perpetuated from Amazon because a lot of their internal reps refer to DSP as display because it is a display ad type. If it's within advertising console, it is sponsored display. So you have demand side platform, which also means DSP or a certain type of display ad. And then you have sponsored display, which is where we have direct control. So the biggest differences there is on sponsored display, there's no minimums. It's just a traditional campaign setup. 75% of the ad types are pay-per-click still, so PPC. You have a few cost per impression ad types in there. But it is our way of dipping our toes into what we see on DSP, because we do have remarketing, we do have prospecting, and we now have the ability to target certain remarketing consumers and things like that. And some of those ads do go off platform, so it's a great way to test it out. But DSP is a whole different level of advertising, and people see it as the new shiny object syndrome. They'll get calls like, hey, I want to run DSP. Can I start with like $3,000? I want to see what kind of ACOS it's going to return. And I'm like, no, like ACOS and ROAS are not the metrics to look at for DSP. I was like, Amazon advertising and advertising console is advertising. DSP is shopper marketing. So we're looking at consumer behaviors. We're looking at different ways to drive brand awareness and awareness to our listings. And we really look at the consumer funnel. So there are things we can do like remarket, every single consumer who views our listing, but that's not necessarily going to increase your top line sales. It's just going to make your ad spend a little bit more beneficial because you're hitting the same consumer with multiple ads. And then you move up to prospecting, which is, looking at all of your competitors and the consumers who are viewing your competitors' listings and then targeting them with an ad. Again, moving up the funnel. So we're going to expect less of a ROAS. So knowing those things and keeping those things in mind are extremely important, because if you go into DSP thinking I just want an incredible ROAS, a low ACOS, the majority of agencies probably are going to tell you that's not fantastic and may not even want to work with you because it's going to be very complex when you see the metrics at the end of that 60-day, 90-day period.
Oh, very interesting stuff. And like I say, it's something that I'm very, very naive in terms of the variety, because I've only got a couple of clients on this, whereas I can see that you guys have got such a wide variety of expectations. I apologize to anyone that can hear a 9-month-old little boy crying in the background. His mummy is just about to feed him, so I do apologize to everybody on that. We've got a question from Kate, who has any tips in terms of preparation for smaller sellers that can't invest a lot in advertising.
Sure. I could jump on that. I mean, some of the tips I called out, obviously low-hanging fruit, fix your listing, optimize it for search, improve your images. Those are all different activities you could do to improve your listing and the chance of getting a conversion on your product detail page. And then at the very bare minimum, it's just the most relevant search terms is what I would bid on, and just be, set a budget cap, use portfolios, set what am I willing to spend, and understand if you're new to the platform and you're not working with an agency or a consultant or a freelance, that you should be prepared to lose that investment as you learn how to manipulate bids, add keywords, improve the efficiency of the account.
Can I add that Amazon has a free course on advertising to give you the basics? So especially if you came from a Google background, it is really important that you go through that advertising learning, the Amazon Learning Console, because, for example, broad match, the definition on Google is very different than the definition on Amazon. And then, besides, listing optimization is a really great place to start. And you can use Sellerly, use the split testing to help you make, and then look at your competing competitor products to identify what's doing well for them. When you go into your advertising, you're probably going to be fairly limited to maybe doing sponsored products or some of the, the more self-service kind of ads. And you can still do a lot with that. Make sure the fundamental piece that's really important is making sure you have the right campaign structure, that you're utilizing different match types, and know that you are going to have to spend some money to test enough things to identify what's really going to win for you. But if you're like, we're a company that just is not going to spend money on advertising, our stakeholders just won't do it, we just know that, then when it comes to being successful on Amazon, you're going to need to really focus on product research and make sure that you're really stellar at that, because you're going to need to find some areas that have a little less saturation. It takes a lot of money to sell garlic presses and yoga mats effectively on Amazon these days. But if you have an autistic tool for kids with, a specific kind of learning disability, and because of that, there's a very small number of competitors, you probably still could launch without advertising. So the more commoditized your product, the more it's going to cost you in advertising in order to kind of rank, and then it's up to your product to kind of stick the landing and have that ROAS kind of be able to kind of allow you to continue going forward. If that makes sense.
I'll piggyback off that real quick as well. It's going to take quite a bit of learning to get in there, because there's shiny object syndrome everywhere with an advertising console. There's 98 different levers that affect 98 different things. At the core of Amazon advertising, and the one biggest misconception I see across the groups, is bid optimization. That is going to be one of the number one most important things you do, because keyword research isn't that complex if you know your product. Now, yes, you can expand upon that, but you're going to know what keywords to bid on in the beginning. Learning how to optimize your bids to make those keywords profitable is going to be probably one of the biggest things that you can do to affect your Amazon advertising.
And I know that Will kind of said this, but I'm just going to re-say it because it's really important, especially if you don't have a lot of experience doing digital advertising in the past. So if I have a locking beach bag is a relevant keyword. It's highly relevant for my product, but it's not one that we want to target for advertising because it's too broad. People who type in clickety-click bag into the search bar, they could be looking for a tote bag, a garbage bag, a sandwich bag. This is not going to drive relative traffic. So there can be kind of an ego trip sometimes, and I want to be number one for a specific keyword. We don't want to look at search volume. We want to look at which term is going to bring us in the most relevant buyers. And especially if you have a small ad budget, taking the time to really identify those is going to be really, really important.
Yeah, 100%.
Start small, scale as you collect data.
Exactly. Yeah, I couldn't have said that better myself. That's absolutely fantastic. And like you said, going back to the Cellular tool, you can actually, because you've got the ability to make those changes and then test them. Having the A/B testing function on Amazon was it's just changed the game for me massively. And like you said, you can test and try those keywords out on your bids as well. From another perspective as well, one of the questions I've got to ask you, just to take a flip side on this, if you've got quite a large range of products, in your opinion, what's the best way to get traction on your advertising for a large range of your products?
I'll jump in on this. So common misconceptions are with kind of all the different ad types and whether or not they perform well. I'm going to throw it out there. Every single ad type can perform relative to all your other ad types. It's dependent on your bid ops. But at the end of the day, sponsored products drive 70% of your advertising sales because they have around 90 times the ad inventory. Sponsored brand shows up at the top of search, 3 placements at the bottom of search, and then 2 to 3 placements on the product detail page. So we are very limited to our ad inventory. Sponsored products shows up all throughout page 1, all throughout the product detail page, and there's carousels that have 30 different sponsored products related to items. So if you're looking at scaling quickly, you always consider Pareto's principle. Start with sponsored products. Auto campaigns are fantastic. You can break them out into 4 different targeting types nowadays. So that's a great way to start getting traction and make changes quickly. It's evergreen keyword research. And then beyond that, there's at least 28 different strategies you can have for one ASIN. So we look at, an average 30 campaigns per ASIN. And that's foundational if you have the ad spend. So always pull your business report, detail page sales by ASIN, go top down, figure out what's going to drive the most value, start with sponsored products, sponsored brands, sponsored display, and add on to it.
Beautiful. If I could piggyback off that too, for large catalogs, hit it on the head. It comes down to what your budget is. And then if the budget's unlimited, which is not everybody's case, it's obviously, is the listing retail ready and what's the sales velocity, and work your way down. And I think that's really the most important. We launch clients on Amazon and they're like, we're ready to spend money and it's great, but do you want to spend to lose, or are you looking to make an impression? Do you want to drive sales, and do you want to use the platform the right way? Would be my 2 cents on those large catalogs.
You've got to clean your house out before you invite people over, right?
Exactly.
And I think that's especially true if you're trying to get stakeholder approval to get to the next level of ad budget. It's better for you to concentrate that on a small number of products, get really great returns, and then it's easier to kind of go to those stakeholders and approach for a larger budget. And if you try to spread out that budget too thin, especially if you're in a competitive market. So if I'm doing fish oil supplements and I have $3,000 and 30 products, spending that on all 30 products will get me absolutely nothing. I'm not going to really get any traction anywhere. So yes, it's hard to like leave one of your children, one of your little products kind of without advertising because we get so attached to them. It is better for you to make sure that at least one is selling well, and then make sure you're looking at, we're not only on like conversion rates and how well it sells through, but also profitability. If you take your least profitable product and you focus all the advertising on that, you're still not going to have the cash flow at the end to be able to reinvest into other products. So you want to take into consider all of those pieces.
So very interesting stuff. Again, for anyone that has got any other questions, please feel free to shout them out. You are very rarely going to get this sort of knowledge about Amazon in the same room very often. So please feel free to shout out. We have got another question in from the audience at the moment. What are the exact 1 to 2 dates during the holiday period where I, a newbie at Amazon, can expect the highest demand from Amazon? Oh, that's an interesting one. I'm going to leave that for you three first, and then I might pick up on the back of that.
It depends.
I was going to say there's not one.
No.
Don't set your heart on any of them.
Yeah.
It's going to depend on a lot of things. It's going to depend on so let's even just take product mix just as one variable. If I sell Christmas wreaths, my peak day is going to be much earlier than if I sell, something that's going to be like a last minute gift, the people that you don't really like as much, but you realize you have to buy a present for. Those will have a later peak. But, if you look at like Xbox One, they just had a big peak because they just announced, and it's way earlier than other toys in their category. So you have to know your target, just like please spend the time to know who your target avatar is. Understand your customer and their customer behaviors. If you're a newbie, you might not have enough data to do that. So if I was to like overgeneralize, I'd say, somewhere between the 15th and the 19th, but there's a lot of variables in between that.
Very applicable answer. I love that. I love that. That was very, very good. I love that answer. Destiny, Will, have you got anything you'd like to add on that one?
It's like Robin nailed it. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, one of the things that I'd add on to that is don't get sucked into the hype. Prime Day is absolutely fantastic. Well, for the West, I mean, we all saw Alibaba's single days figures, which were absolutely insane, 16 times higher than that of Amazon Prime's in terms of orders. But let's work with what we've got here. Alibaba's another day for another topic. But from my standpoint, I've had clients that have been, I absolutely have to get on Prime Day, and they've seen the minimal increase in sales for the value of how much they spent to get it there versus what they got back. To me, it wasn't worth it. Now, that's not for every client. Some clients, if you're selling iPhone chargers, like the everyday commodities that everyone always needs, you do need to have those sort of those be ready for Prime Day, for Black Friday, your usual retail dates as well. If you are new to this, one of the things that I'd always say to one of my customers, if they are starting off with a very small budget, is look at the retail calendar. I got into e-commerce because I was the guy that used to sell trainers at a sports shop for a living. I got used to actually selling the product to people and then taking it on onto the e-commerce way is still how I judge it. I still use quite a lot of dates when I knew that we were the busiest. When I sell the trainers, I still take these into considerations. If you're selling trainers, if you live in an area where, like, say, if you're in Boston, you've got the Boston Marathon. Obviously, this is not a thing at the moment, but we had a big surge when people were 6 to 9 months before the London Marathon. Being on top of those sort of things, and it goes perfectly back into what Robin was saying before. If you know your customer, these things will become bread and butter. If you're just starting out, one of the first things I would be is to look as yourself. Now, if I'm a customer, I'm looking to buy your product. Was it that I'm looking for? and then build it up from there, because there's a lot we could talk about in terms of building profile data, your customers, the searcher, the buyer, who's going to buy from you in the future. I could talk about days. I'm sure we all could talk about days about persona data, but that's one of the big things. And I think, as Will said, Robin hit the nail on the head. Knowing your customer is half the battle when it comes to Amazon. It feeds everything you do, your keyword research, your ad types, whether you need to think about DSP, etc. These are all things that you can consider and force back on from there as well. And sorry, it was one of these questions that I saw and I thought, oh, actually, I've got something I can contribute, as opposed to just sort of sat there nodding and furiously taking notes, as you all can see, or maybe not see. But don't judge my handwriting. Arabic was my first language, not English. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. Also, anyone that's in any sort of distance, if you're in Asia, if you're in Australia, give us a shout out to where you are. We'll give you a shout out, because I've at the moment in time, I'm up the latest, and it is coming up to 8 o'clock in the UK. So anyone can beat that, give us a shout out, and we'll go from there. Sorry guys, this is more about questions that I've got for you. Like I said, I'm just going to pick your brains all the way through this. One of the things that I've always been really interested in is that if I'm optimizing my listing, but it's still not selling very well, especially given that I've done the keyword research, I've done the persona data, what would you advise as a next step? You've built all this work, you've put all the research in, but yet your product's still not selling well. What would your advice be there?
If I could chime in, I think
of course, yeah.
I think you have to analyze the quality of the listing. So there's a couple things. What's the review count compared to the marketplace? If you recently launched a product and have 15 reviews, but the top of search is 1,000, work your way down. Of course, you're not going to see the type of traction you're looking for, and even more of a reason why you need to advertise to get your products in front of people. And then also consider off Amazon advertising, the Google, the Facebook, and all those platforms to kind of grow your presence. Another piece is where price point is something I analyze compared to the competitors and the quality of the product. I know for us, the strategy for launching a luxury item, so it's different from eBay and some of the other platforms. One, Amazon is not a race to the bottom, as a lot of people depict it. It's the cheapest. It's not the cheapest. Quality products can be sold on there at a quality price, but do you have the validation to back that? And the targeting methods and how you get your products in front of those customers is much different. So I would, to Robin's point, who's your customer? Know your customer. If the keywords are light, where does your product fit in the market? And I would do a little competitive analysis to figure out, what's my position, and then what does it take to get me to that next position? And maybe it's not something that happens year one. For a lot of launch brands we work with, we let them know, it's an investment your first year. We're likely not going to be profitable unless you're Nike or you're a big brand. So it does take time. So I would say patience, and then understand where your product fits in the market.
If I could add too, there are times when a perfectly optimized listing isn't enough. So you could have a perfectly optimized listing, and if one of two things is the case, then it doesn't matter how well your listing is optimized. One, if there's not demand, and two, if there's so much competition that you're not running ads, then it doesn't matter how perfect your listing is. If it's on page 97 of the SERP, you're never going to get those sales either. So the first thing you need to look at is it a demand problem? So what keywords remember we talked about those highly relevant keywords that are going to bring in really great customers? Identifying those for your product, and then saying, okay, let's use a tool that's out there to identify if there is search volume for that particular keyword phrase. If there's no search volume for it, and that's the only door. So I think of each keyword as kind of a door for people to come to my product. If there's only one or two doors, and those doors don't have any people behind them, then you're going to have to do a lot of external traffic. You're going to have to do things, maybe you need to drive some Facebook ads or something along those. But you also want to determine, is that going to be profitable for you? If there is a lot of competition, you say, well, but my competitor is selling 80,000 a month and I'm selling 1 a month. Then you would want to look at, okay, you can get to page 1, but can you afford the cost, the spend to get to page 1? And is your product high quality enough and going to exceed your customers' expectations enough that once you get to page 1, you'll be able to stay there? And that's kind of where I would start.
Perfect. Destiny, have you got anything you'd like to add on to that as well?
Nothing much. I don't really specialize in that area of the business as much, but I will say a misconception I do see often is I'm not ranking well, not selling well. Can I spend $5,000 and get to page one? And I'm like, if you don't have a good product, advertising is a second order consequence. So if you're not already converting, what's it going to do putting that in front of more people? It's not going to increase the conversion rate. So don't just throw money at ads if you're not in a good place already. Now you can do things for organic ranking, of course, but you need to figure out how expensive it is, what your CPCs are going to be, and what the longevity of that is, because it's not instant gratification. You're not going to get on page one almost immediately. It takes time. So go slow, do things with data.
Love it. No, I love it. This is literally, if I could articulate as well as you guys, this is literally what I'd be putting in front of clients. I'm gonna have to just record this and then send it out to every single one of my clients. Say, these are thoughts that I'm trying to articulate to you guys right now. Just listen to these people, and this is what I'm trying to say. Data is everything that we need to be thinking about. It's the famous Sherlock Holmes quote, data, data, data. I can't make bricks without clay. It's just in everything that we do, and it's so nice to see that actually. As of late, I mean, I started selling back in 2012, and that wasn't the big factor for Amazon. It was very much. I mean, let's not talk about what it was circa 2012 because it's a very, very different landscape, and it will just confuse everything as well. You'll just see in the group chat as well that there is a form that's just been put up, so you can have access for free 60-day trial of Cellularly. We've mentioned it here a couple of times. Just to be clarify, none of us are being paid. For Cellularly, it's a tool that I personally use and have recommended to other people as well. So don't think that we're trying to spam you into getting this. This is just a generally really useful tool. I sell iPhone chargers, and I have been selling them since 2012. It's one of the most difficult products to sell on Amazon at the moment because there's just so much damn competition. One of the really useful tools, and you mentioned it there earlier, well, is ASIN to ASIN comparison. You can health check your ASIN versus your competitor. You can see what they're doing. You can also pull out the keyword research. It's a really good start. It's a free tool as well in that sense as well, that you can put that in and then know directly, okay, my competitors are focusing on this. I need to focus on this, but I also want to put my own USP to it and then push in that way as well. Because if you're not going to come to the market with a USP for anything, then are you really going to should be coming to the market? Are you just going to, because you're just going to make yourself a commodity, and then it does come to what we mentioned before, becoming a race to the bottom. USPs, like you said, if you're selling something specific that's got a need to the world, that's got your own unique standpoint on it, that's where targeted advertising, targeted keyword comes into it. If you're just going to drop ship a couple of thousand products in one go and try and sell those, then we can't help you in that sense, right? Okay. Again, in terms of a question, and I apologize, audience, that I'm asking all these questions because this is this is the only time that I've got all these guys, everyone on this call. Just going back into what we mentioned about small budgets, with the holiday season coming on at the moment in time, what would you say is the biggest priority, given limited resource, that I should really be focusing on in terms of my listings? Open to everybody as well. Anyone, just feel free to shout up on that one.
Perfect.
Go ahead,
Robin.
No, you go ahead.
All right. Yeah. So the biggest priority for the listing. So let's talk a little bit about the data. Kind of get into it. So I know I mentioned retail ready and kind of what that means, and then doing split testing. And it's in one of the slides I called out. But I think some things you want to consider is, okay, what type of keywords am I trying to rank for, and then have I noticed an improvement in sessions? Sessions means I added these keywords, I'm ranking better, and more people are engaging my listing. And that's how I kind of value the title of a specific listing. When you get to the product detail page, now we're looking at the bullets. Like, yes, you do want to have SEO terms in there, but now it's about conversion rate. It's about that sale, your USP. Like, what makes you unique? Why should I buy this product over another product, especially if it's not as well reviewed or if it's at a higher price point? So understanding understanding the marketplace, the landscape, and understand. So it's unit session percentage in Amazon terms. Lord knows why they use that, but it's conversion rate for everybody else. So when I'm thinking of a listing, we could put in keywords, we could do all these different things, but it's more important to look at the data and go, okay, I made these changes, and all right, we noticed a bump. What specific metrics did we notice the change, and then what type of improvements are we seeing? And then, of course, I like to do 30 days testing. I feel like it's enough, but it does also come down to impressions. If you have a really low volume item, and you're only going to get 15, 20 sessions a month, then you probably need to run that a little longer. So like these are the different pieces we would look at when considering, how to improve a specific listing, and then what about that quality of the listing. So we know if session is an issue, then let's make improvements to the title, if what we could do there. If we know the conversion rate or the people are getting to our listing, they hear this a lot, but we're not converting, why? Well, your USP is not up to date. And then the last piece of that is the reviews. Are we getting a lot of negative reviews? What type of feedback are we getting about reviews? And some of it's subjective. Like we manage a lot of supplement companies and beauty companies. Anything that's flavored or anything that's can be very subjective to the person, you're not going to please everybody. But it is important, if you notice the common theme, it smells a certain way, it tastes funny, it doesn't mix well. Well, these are things that you can now, all right, let's use some images. Let's talk about how to mix the product properly. Let's create some video content. Let's have a guarantee at the bottom, 100% guarantee refund, so that we are building consumer confidence. If you don't like this product, we got your back. Don't be afraid to test it. So these are some of the aspects I would look at when considering how to improve a listing.
And then I would also add in there that you want to, sometimes people think it's like create the listing, optimize, run ads, and then that's the end. But it's really like, the shampoo bottle where it has that last step that says rinse and repeat. I know we don't do it for shampoo, but you should do it for your Amazon listings because we want to take the data. So if you thought my target demographic is millennials who are living, high socioeconomic class, and you look at either your brand analytics and you see that there your demographic is different. Now we've got to take that with a grain of salt because a lot of people share that Amazon login to shop. But something to consider. The other thing is, if I thought, these set of keywords were going to be the things that drive the most traffic, and we see in our ads that is clearly not the case, that these other words, then we need to reassess. Does that mean that my target avatar was wrong? Does that mean that I need to adjust for something? So if I see that the keywords that really indicate maybe a younger audience or a more affluent audience, do I need to update my images? And especially if you have an audience that is going to buy significantly on mobile, images are very, very important. It shouldn't just be a product image, product image, product image. You want to mirror some of those most important benefits and features in those bullets, because and look at your product on mobile. It's very important because it does display very differently, and you need to look and see what that experience is for your customer.
Yep, absolutely. Destiny, is there anything you want to add on that? I know.
Just a small note. Everything they covered is exactly on point. And then kind of as we mentioned, like on the ad side, if you're headed into season where you're going to get more clicks, more views, more things like that, you really need to narrow down and make sure optimization's in a good spot. So we've all kind of lightly talked about like different keyword targeting. You can target broad all you want, but if your bid's $3, you're going to hemorrhage money. If your bid's 17 cents, it doesn't matter if you get 100 clicks in one order, it could potentially still be profitable. So focus on your optimizations, because it's just going to scale. 200% ACOS isn't going to turn into 50% ACOS when the holidays hit.
I mean, that feeds right back into one of our audience's questions, actually. Should I optimize my listings for the season? Will, you touched on that a little bit in your presentation. Does anyone want to take that a little bit further?
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, so we obviously, like I said, comes down to the product. For those of you guys selling plungers in my example, you're good to go. Just keep doing what you're doing. But for those of you selling Christmas wreaths or toys or these very holiday gifts, to Robin's point, the customer needs to self-identify with that product. They need to picture getting or giving that product, and that's why we recommend update your images, have it under the Christmas tree, giving it to your children, like whatever the product is, and incorporate your title. Something as silly as like for a gift for him or for her. You're not going to rank for that organically. That's not the goal. The goal is that when somebody searches that relevant query, they see that, oh, this is something that's more giftable, and this is what it looks like when I give the gift. And even for items that you wouldn't necessarily think would be a great gift, it has the ability to be there depending on how you position it. Like I said, a lot of it comes down to the type of product, but absolutely, we recommend optimizing your listing and the images and even some of the bullets. And you can look at your competitors. You can look at holiday guides to get inspiration on what type of imagery, what type of language should I use. And of course, you want to be neutral. So unless you're selling a Christmas or Hanukkah product, I would say keep it simple. great gift or gift idea for him or her. There's no reason to segregate your audiences. At the end of the day, you just want to sell product to the customers that are looking for that product.
And I think you need to think about each piece of your listing. So it used to be you could add as many keywords here and there. Right now, all of those keywords are finite. You have a limited amount of real estate that you can use to kind of create these doors for people to find your product. Is adding stocking stuffers really going to bring new people into your listing? And are you going to maybe put some ad spend behind, trying to rank for stocking stuffers for children or for boys or for girls? Because if you're just putting it in there and you're not doing anything else, then I'm not really certain that that's going to give you the best lift. Now, where it would give you a lift is if somebody looks at your product and let's say they're looking at the gallery of their options in the search engine results page, and they're looking for something that's specific. If that people are going to specifically be looking for a stocking stuffer, then yes, that can be a good in there. But if you already have, let's say I have a Monopoly game, adding a great gift into the title isn't going to get me more buyers, and it isn't going to get me more views. So we need to really think about what is the purpose. Are we just in 2012? Putting stocking stuffers was a great strategy. Now, I think it can be for the right product, but you really need to edit and make sure that you're not turning some customers off, thinking, "Oh, I thought this was something that I could use, but now I'm seeing it's a gift, so now maybe I'm going to go to a competitor."
Yeah, and Destiny, it goes back to what you were talking about before about diversifying your ad spend as well, because in these sort of instances, you really need to be, from the paid perspective, you really need to be targeting all these different aspects going forward, right? Or is that just me just bumbling my way through?
No, I completely agree.
Well, everybody, it looks like we are just about to run out of time. What I'm going to ask from our panelists today is just a quick wrap up of where you can get hold of them: Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, email, whichever's best. We'll go. I'm not sure. Actually, I've just realized you guys might not be, I say clockwise. It might actually be a different way. So can we start with Will, then to Destiny, then to Robin, please?
Sure, yeah. So thanks for having me. This was great. I could be found will@bellavix.com if you wanted to shoot some emails. Will Hare on LinkedIn. And we have a Twitter handle @bellavix.com that you could definitely come and find us. And thanks for having me.
Awesome. So you can always check us out at betterams.com. Our LinkedIn is really hype place for all of the Amazon advertising content as well. Every single person on our team is consistently posting all the new tips and new changes that get rolled out. So you can check us out there or follow me on Facebook.
And you can find me at marketplaceblueprint.com, marketplaceblueprint.com. I'm also on Twitter at AMZ Robin Johnson. You can find me on Facebook or LinkedIn. We also even have a Facebook group that helps with listing optimization. So you're welcome to join us there at marketplaceblueprint.com/Facebook.
Thank you very much, everybody. And I'm at Dan Saunders 86, Dan Saunders for LinkedIn. Like I said, I'm probably the least interesting person on this call, so make sure you pay attention to everybody else's. But from that standpoint, one last thing I will make sure you all know, and obviously this is not me trying to sell it, this is me trying to get the best deal for anyone that's trying to work on Amazon at the moment. Please take advantage, fill out that form, and get your free access to this lovely tool. There's the link on the messages a little bit earlier. Leave your email associated with it, and within 24 hours, you'll get a confirmation email saying you've got 60-day full access. And then you can see it's not just me, trying to upsell it to you. It's a really useful tool for anyone on any point in the Amazon journey as well. So I will say thank you, good night, good morning, and good evening to everybody else out there. And thank you very much for joining us. Speak to you all again soon.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.